I went through the grueling med school application process. I watched the videos, I did research, I went on all the forums. Now you guys don't have to stress as much as I did. Let's talk about secondaries. Here are the timestamps of what I will be covering in today's video, and if you guys don't watch anything else, please at least watch the Beyond the Essay section near the end because I don't want you to miss that information. It's something that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, so I want to make sure you have that information before you get working on your secondary, so please check it out. I know it probably doesn't feel like it because you might have just finished writing your primaries or submitting it, but secondaries are coming around the corner faster than you think. And I personally strongly believe that early submission of my secondaries, as well as the quality of them, were the things that got me 6 interview invites. My average turnaround time was 1 day, and I really want to take this time to share with you guys everything that you need to know about secondaries, as well as what I did to help myself stay on track to submit them early and have quality essays as well. This is going to be part 1 of a mini series that I'm going to do on secondaries because there is so much to talk about. So please hit the subscribe notification button so that you can be notified when the rest of the series comes out. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nee. For those of you who are new here, I am an incoming medical school student for the fall of 2022, and I'm here to be your buddy during this med school application process because it is hard, it is stressful, and I want to help you guys out as much as possible. So let's get to it. If you're not familiar, secondaries are supplementary applications that are sent out to the applicant by each individual school that you apply to. Now, every school is going to have their own set of short answer essay questions for you to answer, but their goal is to really get to know you more as an individual, your motivation for medicine, your contributions to the incoming class, as well as your fit for the class that you are going to enter. Keep these goals in mind as you are writing your secondary essays. I pre-wrote my secondaries starting in mid-April because I knew that once my MCAS application gets sent off to the school, they are all going to come at once, or if not, just a few days apart. And for me, that was June 25th, which was the first date that my application could be sent out to the school. Now, while some schools perform screening based off of stats or state of residency before they send out their secondary application, many schools will just send it to all of their applicants.
I like you, have a cupcake. I like you, have a cupcake. You have a cupcake.
Just to give you guys an idea of how quickly they come, here are the dates that I received the secondaries as well as how many I got on that date. So I submitted my MCAS application on May 25th. My application was then processed and sent out to all the schools that I applied to on June 25th. On the same day, actually just a few minutes later, I received secondaries from 3 of the schools that I applied to. 3 days after that, I got an additional 3.
1 day after, another 1. Day after that, I got 2. 2 days after that, I got another 2. And then I had a little bit of a break. 5 days later, I got 2 more. Day after that, another 1. 2 days after that, another 1.
And then from there, it was a little bit more spaced out. And here you can also see how many essays there are for those schools. So it is a lot of essays to write. While the informal deadline to submit secondaries is 2 weeks, the earlier you submit it, the better your odds are of getting an interview, considering that your essays are of quality as well. But if you are concerned about the quality of it, I would recommend just spending a little more time working on it to make sure that it's polished before you submit, because that's going to be more important in the end. The number of essays will vary from school to school, but from the sample of the 20 schools that I applied to, I had anywhere ranging from about 1 to 6 essays per school. That for me ended up being 68 essays total. Now, I know that sounds crazy and that sounds like a lot of essay questions to deal with, but some of the essay questions will overlap or they'll have similar themes, so you can modify it to fit the respective school or the respective prompt. But it's still very important to stay organized in this process so that you can really take advantage of those repeats. And I will have a spreadsheet to help you in this process coming in part 2, so be on the lookout for that. Now, I am a huge proponent of pre-writing, and it is super easy for you to find the prompt. It is just one Google search away. In the description box below, I'm going to share with you guys some links to websites that share those secondary prompts. And I think there's a really helpful one because that one provides an example of how to go about answering that question as well. So you can find secondary essays from year to year, but I would recommend using the one from the latest year. That one tends to be the one that is most representative of what you might encounter when you are writing your own secondary for this cycle. However, I do want to caution you guys that essay prompts do change from year to year. So you might end up pre-writing some essays that do not end up being on your application, but the opposite is also true, and you might not be able to pre-write some of the questions that actually show up on your secondary. However, overall, I do think it was worth it to pre-write and front load all of that work when I have the time to do it and I'm not in a rush to try to complete all these essays all at once, because for the majority of the questions, they ended up being the same. Pre-writing will also allow you ample time to really make sure those essays are polished and ready to go. For example, even with like completely different changes in essay questions, my longest turnaround time was 4 days. And I would say that's pretty good. And keep in mind, I did this while I was working and volunteering, so it's definitely possible to make this process manageable. So just take a deep breath, okay? You're gonna be okay. The next thing that I want to talk about in this overview of the secondaries that I haven't heard many people talk about is there are other things on your secondaries that you are required to enter. And I did not know this. I thought it was just me answering essay questions, but that is not the case. And while these things are not true to all schools, they have come up frequently enough that I really want you guys to be aware of it prior to going into this process. Many of these things are straightforward, but they can be very, very time consuming. So it is helpful to know them ahead of time so that you can be prepared to tackle them when you encounter it. Number 1, proof of residency. And I think this is a case for most public schools. Number 2, professional headshots. Many schools actually asked me to upload a photo of myself onto the portal. Did not know about this going into it. Thank goodness I had a photo from when I did my internship way back when. If you guys don't have one, go ask a friend, take a photo for you, have a photo shoot while you're at it. Make it a fun date. Make sure they're professional, they show all your face, have one ready just in case they ask. Number 3, personal information. It might be a repeat of some of the stuff that you input into your MCAS application, but they might also ask a little bit about your family, what your parents do, their highest education level, if you have any family that went to that school, things like that. Number 4, now this is the most frustrating, most time-consuming part of the secondary, are the pre-med competencies. And this is the section where you're basically just going to input all of your coursework, the credit, and the grade that you got all over again. So make sure you still have your transcript with you as you're doing this so you're getting the right information, but having the MCAS information there is also useful as well. Number 5, if you are applying to a certain program, like an MD, PhD program, or a dual degree with public health, or you're interested in a certain scholarly pathway, you might have to complete a separate application, or you might have to answer some short essay questions related to that. This is all the more reason to stay on top of things and stay organized. Number 6, I think, if you are applying to a school that has multiple campuses, they might ask you to select which campus you're interested in and then state why you chose that location. Now, this is the part that I really, really want to bring to your attention, and I did not expect this to have happened at all during my application process. But beware that schools can sometimes add additional essay questions or add additional requirements after you have submitted your secondaries. This happened for 2 of my schools, and I think this is especially important if you are submitting early on in the cycle where they haven't really had time to flesh out what they want in their secondaries. Now, I know it can be really stressful to hear this, especially with the pre-med neuroticism, and we're always like afraid, you know, we're constantly checking things, but make sure you're checking your emails, checking the spam folder, and ever so frequently go back onto the secondary portal to make sure you are not missing anything. Now, while doing a little bit of research for this video, I found out that I had missed a photo upload for one of my secondaries. They added this in after I had submitted the application already, and I was not communicated this info, so I guess I only applied to 19 schools completely. I am very sad. I was so shocked when I found that out. So moral of the story is just be on the lookout for things like that. Another example that I want to give is for Albany Medical School. They took a while to upload my letter of recommendation and my MCAT onto their secondary portal. So even though I had finished everything else and my essays, I wasn't able to finalize it for submission until they upload those two things on their end. So I actually had to go back and finalize it at a later time. I actually completely forgot about it until 2 weeks later. So again, really necessary to stay organized during this process. If I had just like written a note for myself, that would have happened. And that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know I've said this a million times, but this is part 1 of a mini-series on secondaries. So please hit the subscribe and notification button so that you can be notified when the rest of the series comes out in the following days and weeks. I am super excited about this part of the primary application for some reason. I think it's because I just have a lot to say about it. So be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comment section down below and I will be sure to get back to you guys as soon as possible. Your girl has a lot of free time right now. Thank goodness for that. But as always, best wishes, warmest regards. Until next time, bye!